And I'm here.
I will call this closed session to order at 5:30. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak or has any correspondence been received on any closed session items?
No, there is not.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The City Council will now recess to closed session. It is 5:30. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I will call this meeting to order at 6:04. Mr. City Attorney, do we have anything to report out of closed session?
No reportable action this evening, Your Mayor.
Thank you, City Attorney Melching. Madam Clerk, have you received any correspondence on tonight's agenda?
No, we have not.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dynas.
Here.
Councilmember Diedrich.
Here.
Councilmember Temple.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Carwin.
Here.
And Mayor Estrada.
I am here. Next, we are on to our words of inspiration. Would Bishop David Faust with the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints come to the podium to provide words of inspiration, please?
Thank you, Mayor Estrada, council members, city staff, and Menifee residents. I was going to suggest a topic such as the Lord loves a cheerful giver, but given that yesterday was tax day, I thought it might not be well received. So I want to talk about Easter. Over 30% of the world's population are Christians, and for Christians, this week is considered a holy week. And Easter Sunday is a significant date within Christianity and is the foundation of the Christian faith. The central belief of Christianity is that Jesus Christ suffered and died for all of us, that on the third day he rose from the dead. To Christians, his resurrection means we will all live again. Easter is the day Christians celebrate life, hope, and victory over death. To non-Christians, Easter can offer a powerful metaphor for hope, renewal, and the possibility of overcoming challenges and finding a deeper sense of meaning in life. Easter encourages individuals to embrace the transformative power of faith and to look forward to a future filled with new beginnings and possibilities. My prayer this week for the citizens of Menifee is that during this Easter season, no matter how we celebrate, be it candlelight vigils, joyful worship, sunrise services, spring festivals, chocolate bunnies, egg hunts, family dinners, vacations, or through our own unique holiday traditions and treats, that we gather with grateful hearts, reflecting on renewal and hope. May the promise of new beginnings inspire us to foster unity, compassion, and peace in our community. May we be guided to act with kindness and courage, always uplifting one another, for anger never persuades. May we lead the way as peacemakers, using charity towards all men. For charity is the foundation of a godly character. And this I say in Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Bishop Faust. Next, we are on Pledge of Allegiance. I see Commissioner Laz Peterson here. Commissioner Peterson, can you please lead us in the pledge, sir?
Right hand over your heart, please begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Peterson. Next, we are on presentations. We are honoring Raven Hilden this month as Citizen of the Month. Can council please join me at the front of the dais? Okay, good evening, everybody. Right now, we are honoring our Citizen of the Month, Raven Hilden, and this is District 2, Ben Diedrich's choice. So I will give the honor to Councilman Diedrich to introduce his choice.
Thank you. Should I make my own say now, or should I read off this right
your
now?
own.
My own, okay. So, Raven, we've been friends for years now. I remember when you started Milved and you were working in the Marietta Innovation Center and working together back then, and you've done so many amazing things for the community, for veterans, for our armed forces members, for everybody. I mean, you are everywhere. I just saw you this weekend, right, at the air show. So you're doing so much. I've had the honor and the privilege of going to your packing events, which are amazing. I'm sure, I was going to say, if you don't know, but I'm sure everybody here knows about MilVet's packing events, right? Where you get hundreds of people to come up and pack boxes for our active duty deployed service members. And it's such a great thing that you do. I think you've won every single award there is to win, both individually and for the organization itself. And now one more. I was shocked to see that you haven't received this one yet, so it was my distinct pleasure to choose you this month for our Citizen of the Month. Thank you. And now I'll hand it over to Councilmember Dean Dinas.
Well, congratulations. I know you do so much for the veterans. Your name is about as synonymous with the veterans advocacy as anybody. As a veteran, I really appreciate that. I know you volunteer things. You have meetings at your office and stuff, or our senator. A lot of things going on, and it's just not the veterans here, but those that are deployed. And we know if those who've experienced that know what it's like, and be away from home, and so getting those packages are just a little taste of home, and that's great. So thank you so much. Well deserved. I'm embarrassed I didn't think of it first, but congratulations.
It's so neat to honor someone who gives so much, and I think probably the most satisfying thing you get back is knowing how much it means to other people who have given so much to this nation to be served by you and your organization. Meeting you has been a highlight of my term here, and from a very, very grateful community, thank you for what you do and for whom you serve.
Hey, Raven. People talk a lot about how synonymous your name is with veterans and veteran services, but I want everybody to know that you go much deeper than that in our community. Every event that we have, whether it's ribbon cuttings, whether it's community events, you're there supporting the community, top to bottom, veterans, non-veterans, seniors, kids, and that's one of the reasons you're the Citizen of the Month as opposed to just somebody who helps out. And you've really brought value to every single event we've had in this community, whether it's being a sponsor, whether it's providing service, support, or just being there with your presence. So thanks for everything you do for the city of Menifee.
Raven, it's about time you got this honor. I'm really surprised we haven't handled this already, but we're proud that you are a Menifee resident. You are a Menifee resident, and she's a leader regionally within Riverside County. And not only do you serve the city of Menifee, Riverside County, but on a larger scale, of course, you serve our country. And those donation boxes, although they may be small gifts, they mean the world to those who are gone from home, away from their wives and husbands and spouses and family members. And you are appreciated, and we're proud that you're a Menifee resident. You are a strong leader. You have Sandy and Leo here as part of your team, and the whole MilVet team contributes to this bigger vision that you have set forth. So we are just so proud you're a Menifee resident, and congratulations. Yes, I will now have Councilman Diedrich read off the Citizen of the Month proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor. So, on behalf of the City of Menifee, this is in recognition of your exceptional leadership, tireless dedication, and unwavering commitment to supporting our service members and veterans through the founding and management of MilVet. Your ongoing commitment, generosity, and community spirit have made a lasting impact, and your efforts continue to inspire and uplift those around you. The City Council commends your exceptional contributions and thanks you for making Menifee a better place. Thank you, Raven.
Thank you.
I am incredibly honored and humbled. And really, this is not just a reflection of my efforts. It is a testament to the incredible people in our community and those that make a difference. I want to thank my family for being here. My son who just walked in the door back there, Brendan. Woohoo! I also want to thank all the volunteers, and especially the MilVet team who do so much. They're so committed and dedicated to making our city and community a better place. They inspire me every single day. And they also show that every act, large and small, can make a positive change in our community. I also want to thank our veterans. It is your service and sacrifice that give us the freedoms that we cherish today, so thank you. And then I love this city. I really do. This is my home. I love the spirit. I love the people. And I'm just looking forward to continuing to partner, support each other, and make this community a better place for future generations. So thank you.
Now we'll take a photo with the council, and then the second photo will be with your friends and family, okay?
And Mayor, if I may, we do have one public speaker on this item. Can I ask Sal Chiavarati to the podium?
Hey, Sal, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. I just want to give Raven kudos and welcome to my club. I got this award a few months ago. The mayor elected me. I'm trying to figure out why, but who cares? I got it, you know. But I just want to let everyone know that what a great person you are. You are just a truly great person. I got involved with the community partnership, and that's where I met Raven Melvet. And she was, I was talking about the upcoming trunk or treat we had, and we needed candy because we passed out the first time we did it. We passed out over a ton of candy, and she was the first one to donate candy to me. And she said, "I've got candy for you," you know, from the back of the room. And I'm going, okay. I get over to a place, and I think it's just this one box. She gave me 6 huge boxes of candy, and my feet were about, you know, that high. This trunk or treat thing that we do is just for the kids, you know, and, you know, we're a bunch of old gearhead old people, you know, that are passing out candy to kids, you know, and enjoying the heck out of it. She just gave me more candy yesterday, and it was like 3 times the amount she gave me more this time. And she helped bag it up too. And she was working me to death. You know, she was so fast bagging up this stuff and, you know, and hugging me and saying, you know, this is great. But congratulations. Look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, any other speakers?
No other speakers.
Can
Thank
I
you,
get that
Madam Clerk.
3-minute timer just for Sal all the time? That's great. We got him under 3 minutes. That's fantastic.
Okay, now we're going to move on to 5.2 under presentations. This is the Fire Department quarterly update. Could I please ask Chief Scoville to provide the quarterly update, please? Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council and City staff. My name is Mark Scoville. I'm the City of Menifee Fire Chief, and I'm here to present our first quarter report for the year 2025. All right, for the first quarter, we ran 3,607 calls for service, 6 structure fires, 143 traffic collisions, Our average response time is down 1/10 to 4.3 calls or minute response time for our apparatus here in the city. Our automatic aid and cooperative fire protection, we had 18 assists in the city of Marietta, 3 assists from the city of Canyon Lake to the city of Menifee, 3 assists from the city of Marietta to the city of Menifee, 376 assists outside the city of Menifee, 193 assists received from outside jurisdictions. Our cooperative fire protection, you can see aid given to the various cities, as well as aid received from the various cities. Our planning department, our OFM office, Office of the Fire Marshal, did 197 plan reviews, 65 planning cases, and 1,228 inspections. Our turnaround time is 2 business days for inspections, and our plan check time is 10 business days. Our Menifee Lifesavers, or EMS division, the list is long and distinguished of all the outreach that we've been doing with our CPR, first aid, stop the bleed, and AED training that we do throughout the city. We did distribute 264 vials of life forms. They should be in the back corner. Those are the forms that we fill out with all of your medical record information on it. And then that way, when the fire department shows up, if you're incapacitated, we know what you're allergic to. We know what medicines you're on. We know what doctor you see. And it helps us immensely to be able to get you the appropriate care in a timely manner. Special events and incidents. It was a busy quarter. I'm highlighting just some high-level stuff for you guys. In January, we had the Palisades Fire. Battalion 13A, which is Bill Law, myself as Division 9, and Engine 7 were deployed to the Eaton and the Palisade incidents to help out our neighboring counties. January, we had a structure fire at the address that's listed there. And all those special incidents, 6 of them are structure fires that we had within the city. Our safety message for this year, or this quarter, is fire safety for people with disabilities. And sometimes we don't all think about that. But it's something that if you're hearing impaired, to ensure that somebody has a vibrating smoke detector next to their bed, to ensure you are notified when there's something going on in your home. Plan your escape routes. People that are non-ambulatory know that you're going to need more time to get them out of the home. And have that escape route planned, because in the emergency is not time to plan how you're going to get somebody out. Wow, it's complete. I think we really beat up the public safety last council meeting. However, I am here for any questions that you guys may have.
Thank you, Chief. Council, do we have any questions? Hearing none. Chief Scoville, thank you, and the fire department.
I thank you guys very much tonight.
You guys
have
are
a
doing
great
a
night.
great job. Thank you. I like to see all of those community events you're involved in. It's nice to see the presence, and everyone thinks it's really cool to see you out there. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the community for having us involved. It's a fun thing, and our fire department here in the city is community oriented, and we need to be, and whatever events we can attend, we will. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Chief.
All right.
Next, we will move on to 5.3, Community Service Updates. Can I ask Gabby Cow to provide the Community Service Update, please? Good evening, Gabby.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Gabby Cow, and I am the Community Services Supervisor, here to provide an update on all the exciting happenings in our department. We have ongoing recreation programs across the entire department, including our Healthy Menifee program, highlighting our healthy cooking with kids that fills up every session, so we encourage residents to register early. Our seniors are staying busy with nutrition classes, transportation and driving workshops, and an opportunity to build bouquets for Mother's Day on Tuesday, May 6th. Additionally, I wanted to highlight the Senior Day at Storm Stadium, which will take place on May 14th, with the game starting at 11:05 a.m. Seniors will be able to purchase tickets for only $8, and there will be some limited space for those that need transportation from the K.A. Cenicero Senior Center. Coming up, we have quite a few events and program opportunities. Menifee Better Together on April 26th still has some volunteer positions available. We encourage everyone to pre-register and select their projects in advance. Some projects that still have some spots available include the Senior Home Revitalization Project with Habitat for Humanity and E.L. Pete Peterson Park Beautification. April 29th is the final joint workshop with Council and the Parks, Recreation, and Trails Commission regarding the design of the new community center. We encourage residents to attend to provide their feedback and obtain up-to-date information on the project. I'm extremely excited to announce our Get Her in the Game program that we are launching in May, utilizing a grant from the National Recreation and Parks Association funded by Nike. This is a 6-week basketball skill development program for girls ages 8 to 14. Participants will receive weekly giveaways, experience various drills, and life skills development from sports professionals. Our summer camp registration has opened up this week on April 15th. Spots are filling up quickly for adventure camp, sports camp, and contract camps, so register today. Our aquatics and remaining summer programs will begin accepting registration on May 1st. We'd like to welcome our seniors, families, and caregivers to join us for the Senior Expo and Wellness Fair held on May 3rd at Sun City Civic Association that is open to all residents. There'll be over 40 resource and service providers on site, some of which will be offering free health screenings. Lunch will be provided to the first 150 attendees that visit our booths. May 16th is our summer art affair featuring high school students showcasing a variety of art mediums such as sculptures, short films, photography, and painting. We have over 135 submissions already, and we are still taking more before the event. And then just taking a quick look forward to the rest of summer, we have something for everyone just about every week to stay busy and to have fun and really just enjoy our community. Our Flag Football League will be opening registration for the fall season on May 15th. And on June 10th, the Rotary Club of Menifee is hosting All Abilities Night at Storm Stadium. In Lake Elsinore, in partnership with CSD, Special Olympics, MUSD, and CPAC, $1 from every ticket will go back towards special needs programs within the city. This is an all-inclusive, sensory-friendly ballpark experience with resource tables, raffles, and other interactive activities. We'll be finalizing flyers for the remainder of our summer events, but residents can always check out our Community Services website, Instagram, or Facebook for up-to-date information. And that wraps up the CSD updates, and I'm here if you have any questions.
Thank you, Gabby. We appreciate your hard work and the department's hard work they put into this presentation. Council, do we have any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we will move on to agenda item 6, agenda approval or modifications. Madam Clerk, are there any modifications to tonight's agenda?
No, there are not.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can I ask the council for all in favor to approve the agenda? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Next, we are on public comments for non-agenda items. Madam Clerk, are there any public comments on non-agenda items?
We do.
Okay, Madam Clerk, can you please call the first speaker? Oh, before you do that, I do need to read this. This is the time for the members of the public to address the council about items which are not listed on the agenda. The Ralph M. Brown Act limits the council's ability to respond to comments on non-agendized matters at the time such comments are made. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes on any single item. Okay, Madam Clerk, can you please call the first speaker?
Laz Peterson.
Welcome, Commissioner Peterson.
It's Private Citizen Peterson. I just wanted to address the council here. It's very important to me that you guys all know the animosity that that happens on our sports fields, on our field reservations. We have within an organization people actually almost fist fighting with each other, and it's painful. And I'm hearing almost every single day, pretty much every single day, all of the problems that are happening because of our limited field reservation ability. And, you know, my children, I've got 5 children, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. You know, this is their development. And we don't have the resources. We actually don't have the resources to even give them what they need for their own development, you know? And so, you know, it's actually hurting me personally. And then as far as, you know, being a parks commissioner, it's hurting my constituents. It's hurting our constituents. You know, they are actually struggling. We don't have lights, we don't have parking, we don't have parks. We don't have communication with Valleywide. You know? It's hurting our people. It's hurting my children. You know? I'm actually, you know, quite offended that our city has not been able to deal with that. And I would appreciate it if you guys would take that into consideration, okay? I love you guys, every one of you. You guys do an excellent job, okay? And I appreciate everything that you do, your time, your effort, okay? And I hope that we can work this one out, all right? Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Madam Clerk, any other speakers?
No other speakers.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, we will move on to agenda item number 8, council member updates and comments. This is the time for the council to provide any updates or comments on meetings and events they have attended. Councilman Diedrich, will you please have the honor of leading us off?
Thank you, sir. Since the last meeting on April 3rd, I was able to attend the city's hosted brokers luncheon. On April 8th, I attended one of my committee meetings, the Higher Education Coalition, and this was after our last vote where we decided to continue giving them the support that we could without a financial contribution. On April 10th, I attended the breakfast with city managers put on by SRCAR. Our own Armando Villa, I think, was the star of the show, I would say. He made it interactive. He had some contests going. It was a good time all around. I headed straight from there to be a judge for the Southwest Riverside County Innovation Month Quick Pitch competition, which is kind of like a Shark Tank type thing with 10 startups we had to go through, and there was some pretty good competition there, so that was a lot of fun. I've sponsored that over the years, judged it, and it was honored to be Menifee's representative as a judge this year. And then on April 12th, Raven already left, but I was there as well with her for the Southern California Air Show at March Air Reserve Base, which was a great time. It was very, very hot, but other than that, it was a great show. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Councilman Diedrich. Councilmember Temple.
Excuse me. On April 7th, I went up to Riverside for some training for the RCA, and then later that day I attended a board of directors meetings for the Riverside Conservation Authority. On April 9th, I attended the Student of the Month breakfast and presentation in Paris for our 5 high schools. And on April 10th, I also attended the city manager's breakfast, and we heard from our city manager as well as from Supervisor Washington.
Thank you, Councilmember Temple. Councilmember Dynas.
Nothing to report, thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Carwin.
Thank you. Since the last meeting, I attended our brokers luncheon, annual brokers luncheon, and got to address the brokers. Bell Mountain Middle School was awarded the National Schools to Watch Award, so I got to attend that and help present that certificate on behalf of the city. Attend our multicultural festival. As a member of the WRCOG Executive Committee, I attended that meeting, and I would report that Gloria Sanchez, our own Gloria Sanchez, is going to be awarded with a Community Service Award at the WRCOG Gala So she'll be representing the city of Menifee well in that. I visited our community partners meeting over at the library. Had two opportunities to serve as the PA announcer for the Paloma Valley High School boys volleyball team and their wins against Valley View and Citrus Hill on Tuesday. Yesterday, with that win, they actually clinched the Sun Belt Conference title. So Paloma, go Wildcats. I attended a Chamber of Commerce mixer at BJ's. RCTC Executive Committee meeting. Nothing specifically Menifee related to report, but I will say it's officially the end of an era. There are 136 freeway call boxes left in the Inland Empire, and they are about to be removed. So the call box freeway system is over. We budgeted the removal of those. The company that services them has decided to stop doing that, and there's no one else that does it. So make sure you have a charger in your car from now on, because you're going to need to do that. And just so you know, if you don't have service, if you call 911 from wherever you are, it'll triangulate to the nearest provider, and it's not service specific. So if you have a dead spot for like AT&T and you're in a Verizon zone, you have an emergency, if you call 911, it'll link up to that post. I attended a Rotary Club meeting. I stopped at the Cops with Cows event over at Chick-fil-A. That was fun. I attended our Spring Fest with the mayor was over there. The Sun City Civic Association Spring Party was in full bloom. Went over to that. Went to Wake Up Menifee at the Lady R Bistro. I saw the mayor there. And yesterday I was at the mock interviews at Heritage High School. Did I do anything today? I don't think so. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The updates I have since the last city council meeting, I attended the Menifee Union Evening of Excellence, and there the city of Menifee presented 89 certificates to some of our best educators recognized by our district, and they appreciated the city's presence there, showing support for the school district. That was over at Wilson Creek Winery. I attended the Spring Fest at La Ladera Park with several of the other council members, and I have to say the Easter egg hunt was a hit. I still have both arms and both legs. I wasn't trampled and didn't lose any limbs, but everybody had a great time. The kids were running around, and all the families were delighted to be there. I went to the Sun City Spring Party, and I saw Mayor Pro Tem Carwin there. There were about 200, 300 residents there. It was a really good turnout, and the seniors really appreciated their council showing up and being available for them to answer questions, and I'm happy to be there to support. And then the last thing I did was yesterday morning was the Menifee Chamber morning mixer, and I see our new CEO, Katie Luna, in the back, and they're doing really well. The event was a good turnout, and I'm happy to continue to support our chamber. The last comment that I will make as April 20th approaches, happy Easter, everybody. Okay, that is all my updates. Next, we'll move on to approval of the minutes. There are 2 sets of minutes for the council's consideration. Does the council have any modifications? Okay, hearing none, can I ask the city council for all in favor of approving the April 2nd special and regular meeting minutes? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Okay, next we are on agenda item 10, the consent calendar. All matters on the consent calendar are to be approved in one motion unless a council member requests a separate action on a specific item on the consent calendar. If an item is removed from the consent calendar, it will be discussed individually and acted upon separately. Unless otherwise directed by a member of the city council, the vote on ordinance adoptions will reflect the prior action of each council member when the ordinance was introduced. However, if the council member is not present at the city council meeting, their vote will be reflected as absent. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak on consent calendar items?
We have none.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any items the council wishes to pull for further discussion? Okay, I would like to pull 10.6, please.
Move to approve the balance.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the balance. Council, please tally your votes. Okay, and that passes unanimously 5-0. Okay, I decided to pull agenda item 10.6. This was the military banner program item. And I don't need a presentation. Thank you, Deputy City Manager Kramer. I don't have any questions right at this time. I want to go ahead and open it up for discussion. Okay, Council, would you like to see a presentation? I don't want to jump the gun. Okay, hearing none. Okay, I wanted to open up on this program with mentioning, this program, from what I understand, is to help show honor and appreciation for our service members who have served our country. And the way I would like to show honor and appreciation for our service members is not having them have to foot the bill for part of this program. Currently, they pay for half of the military banner. It's a total cost about $270, but residents pay 135 of that. And when I think about honoring or showing appreciation for someone like a spouse or a mother, I give them a token of gratitude. I take them out to dinner. I give them a bouquet of flowers. I don't foot half the bill to them and say thank you. So in my opinion, I would like to see this program revised. I'm interested in what the rest of the council thinks. I think we can improve it. I think looking over the staff report, I think the program may be a little too big. Menifee has 300 banners, and when I look at our neighboring cities, Temecula and Marietta, they have about 30 banners, 10% of what we have, and they're able to cover the entire cost for their residents. They ask for a small donation, but I think it is much more tasteful if it is managed a little bit, if we manage it a little bit better by reducing the amount of banners and not asking residents to pay up front for that. So also of our 300 banners, 50 of them are being unused. And so I think that, it creates challenges financially for the city on an ongoing basis to manage 300. It creates financial burdens for residents who want to participate in it. And I'm open to suggestions from the council. If the council would like to chime in on how we can show appreciation, make this program a little bit more tasteful and financially manageable for our service members and for us as a city. I'm open to hearing your thoughts, Council. Councilman Diedrich.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I have lots of feelings on this, right? I agree with you that we should be fully honoring our veterans and our active duty service members. Along those lines, I don't know that reducing the amount of banners we have is that I necessarily agree that that's the best way to go about doing it, because I think if you said 50 aren't being used, but that's still 250. We're still honoring 250 people. And right now, the way that it works, they pay half of it, right? So this is our residents, 250 of our residents wanting to honor people in their lives. So I don't think reducing it is the way that I would necessarily want to go. I do agree with you that I think we should be doing this in a way that's tasteful and respectful and honoring them. I do know that it went to our military advisory committee and they voted 5-0 to keep the program the way that it is, right? Because I, like you, I wanted to find a way to maybe improve this. Who we handed this off to do the review, they looked at it and they agreed and they said that this works the way that it's going. If anything, Raven with Milvet just left, but if anything, I would propose looking at, partnering with a nonprofit, with a 501c3 to maybe contribute that other half or something along those lines so that we could have, I think it's great that we do 250 to 300. Our other cities are only doing 30. I think it's fantastic that we're honoring as many of our military members as we can. So if we could find a way where maybe the residents don't have to pay, but still have it covered, if that's with a nonprofit, a charity, somebody that we can partner with and still have it at this, I think that would be fantastic. So I would propose something along those lines.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Diedrich. And when I talked about a reduction, that was just me trying to find a way to accommodate the council, and maybe if we can financially manage it a little bit tighter. And it was just a suggestion to try to align with others. But thank you for that. Mayor Pro Tem Carwin.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I agree with everything Councilman Diedrich just said. You know, the whole reason we formed the VAMFAC is because, I'm going to keep using it, the VAMFAC, is to make decisions like this and have it reviewed through the eyes of the military members of our community. They looked at it and they thought that this was a fine program. And we're going to say, you guys on the VAMFAC don't know what you're talking about. And so what do we have them for then? This is, you know, we're not disrespecting the military. Our military committee said that this was honoring them, and you know, to say, well, if it's just a matter of money, then let's honor fewer veterans, I don't think is the answer to it. So I respect the 5-0, including your appointed member to that committee voted for that. So I would like to honor what they say. I think it's a fine program. It's doing well. And the one thing I really will take away from this is that after a thorough review by the VAMFAC, we find out that we were doing it exactly right. They didn't recommend any changes at all and voted 5-0. I think that's a really great testament to our city staff and our programming and our military. Menifee loves its military. We started a whole committee to make sure that they're supported and the programs are there for them, and this is their decision, and I respect that. So I would recommend following the recommendation and leaving it as is.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Temple.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I like what Ben has said about the partnership with a 501c3. I think that would be great. I just noticed that when the Veterans Committee, I'm not going to say VAMFAC, when they looked at this, they indicated that the other cities, their participation, we have nearly 10 times as many banners that stay up twice as long. And I think that's a great way to honor. I know we have so many thousands of veterans in our city. I would like to see more banners placed, but I think the good route would be to follow the recommendations and then also see what we can do with a private partnership.
Thank you, Councilmember Temple. And also, I need to do my due diligence and make sure I give the public an opportunity to speak. I don't want to skip over that part. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak on this consent calendar item?
There are none.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, I see no one else in the queue right now. It sounds like a majority of the council are in favor of keeping the program how it is. You know, this is a policy decision. As mayor, you know, when I was elected mayor, I told the residents that I represent that I would advocate for this. And so this is me maintaining my integrity and making sure I stand up for what I said I would do when I was put in this position. And I wanted to do what was best for those service members. And this is also what's best for service members. And I want to work with my council and understand and respect your perspectives. You know, I have a little bit of a different policy, and I believe they shouldn't have to foot the bill, and that's just a policy decision on my part. And I wanted to stand up for what I said I would do back when I was put in this position. So, seeing that, I'm open to aligning with you guys and finding a non-charitable organization to help pay the other half to honor our service members, to financially assist with them. And, you know, I'm even open to the idea of maybe our city creating its own charitable organization or nonprofit to not only maybe help with this program, but I'm interested if the city can create a charity to help assist with other city programming and city events. And so that's a future agenda item I would like to consider, not only to help with this program, but other initiatives and ways we can give back in community services. So, okay, with that said, I don't see anyone else in the queue. It looks like we are going to go ahead and move forward with how it is. Would someone like to introduce the motion in a second to,
I'll move 10.6.
okay, we have a move. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a second. Okay, and that passes 4-1. Okay, thank you, colleagues. Next, we're going to move on to public hearing items, agenda item 11. There are none, so that means we will move on to our discussion items as there are no public hearing items. Discussion item number 12. This is the issuance of special tax bonds for Improvement Area 1 of CFD 2023-2, Cimarron Ridge. Can I please ask Director Hickey to introduce the item? Good evening.
Yep. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Travis Hickey, CFO. Tonight we have an item before the council regarding the issuance of bonds for Community Facilities District 2023-2, Improvement Area 1 for Cimarron Ridge. The item will be presented by financial analyst Lori Lockwood. We also have our financing team here in the audience as well to address any questions. Thank you.
Good evening, Mrs. Lockwood. How are you?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I'm here tonight to figure out how to work the remote. It's been a little while. Here we go. Thanks for the help. Okay, so first, a little bit about the project. The CFD for Cimarron Ridge was formed back in March of 2023, so it's been about 2 years. This development sits on both sides of Thornton Avenue between Valley Boulevard and Getz Road. The project is being developed by Pulte Home Company. And Improvement Area 1 within the project consists of 424 single-family homes. Something unique to this project so far is that Invitation Homes, a real estate investment trust, is under contract to buy 127 of the homes within Improvement Area 1, and their intent is to lease these homes out. Off to the right, you've got a development summary showing that this is as of late January. 197 of the homes have been sold to individuals, 72 have been conveyed to Invitation Homes, and as of late January, Pulte was still working on the remaining 155 homes in this area. This is a map just to show you generally where the project's located. It's on the far northwestern edge of the city. And here is a close-up map. You can see that the development is split into two separate improvement areas. We've got Improvement Area 1 on the south and Improvement Area 2 on the north. The bonds that we're here to talk to you about tonight are for Improvement Area 1. This would be the first bond issuance for this improvement area. A second would be requested at a later time, and the developer would come back later to begin to request bonds for Improvement Area 2 as development progresses there. So right now, we are in the lead up to the bond issuance process. We've been working with a team of consultants that the city has to draft the legal and financing documents and prepare the bond resolution that you are considering tonight. If you approve the financing documents tonight, we're going to work with the underwriter, which for this deal is Ramirez and Company, and they're going to sell the bonds to investors. After that's done, the CFD is going to receive the money, and we're going to use that money to pay for capital projects, set some aside in reserve fund, and pay for costs associated with this issuance. Every year, we're going to levy special taxes on the homes within the district, and we're going to use that money to pay off the bond owners over the course of the next 30 years. So this is our financing overview. Back when the district was formed, the council approved a not-to-exceed bond amount of $10 million. Tonight, we're here discussing the first issuance, which would not exceed $5 million. This money would be used to finance public improvements that are going to benefit the residents who live within the district. And these public improvements include traffic signals, improvements to McLaughlin Road, and park improvements. It's estimated that the special tax for homeowners in fiscal year 25-26 would range from $264 to $1,523. So tonight, we're here asking the council to authorize the issuance of the bonds in an amount not to exceed $5 million and to approve certain documents associated with a bond sale, including the preliminary official statement, the bond indenture, the bond purchase agreement, and others. This is a look at the amount of money we could receive and how we would use that money. We're estimating that the par amount of bonds could be close to 4.6 million, and down below you can see how we'd use that money. Approximately 4 million would go into the project fund, 400,000 would sit in the reserve fund, and we'd use the remainder of the money to pay expenses associated with the issuance of the bonds. This is the tentative schedule that we're working under. We're here tonight asking you to approve the financing. If you do, we would post the preliminary official statement within the next day or two. We would price the bonds at the end of April, and we would look to settle the bond issuance in mid-May. That concludes the presentation. I do have a slew of consultants here who are available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Lockwood. We appreciate the hard work your department did on this. Council, do we have any questions of staff? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak or has any correspondence been received?
There is none.
Okay. All right, Council, we can make any comments to discuss or we can go ahead and motion to approve. Hearing no discussion, I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. That passes 5-0. Okay. Next, we will move on to 12.2. This is the first reading and introduction of an ordinance revising the city's procurement procedures. And I see Director Hickey back at the podium. Welcome back, Director. Can you please introduce the item?
Yes, and so for this item, I'm going to call on Deputy Director Margarita Cornejo and Finance Manager Amir Zaki to introduce an update to the purchasing ordinance that the city is proposing, and again, available for questions with the council.
Good evening, Ms. Cornejo.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and members of the public. Margarita Cornejo, Deputy Finance Director, and I will start the beginning of this presentation. So to provide some background and overview of why we're here today, we're here to discuss the purchasing ordinance for the city of Menifee. When the city incorporated in 2008, as part of kind of our building blocks to get our city up and running, we adopted the thresholds of the county of Riverside, and since then have lived under those thresholds and those elements. And really, this ordinance, what it does, it provides procurement procedures for the purchase of goods, services, and supplies, and it helps ensure that we maximize the city's purchases and promotes accountability and transparency, as well as compliance with federal and state regulations. But since incorporation, the city has expanded its operations significantly as well. Most importantly, 3 major departments have been established since then. We're about to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of our Community Services Department, which has just added a monumental amount of, special events and moments for our families and places here. We also are going to be celebrating the 5-year anniversary of our police department in this year, which has really brought that, that commitment of this community to make public safety a priority. And we've also expanded our IT operations, which serves in the backbone to continue to ensure that all our services and all our departments are supported. These 3 departments alone touch all areas of procurement, whether it's goods, supplies, or construction projects. The city's operations in a nutshell, when you look at our general fund, when we looked at our first adopted full year budget, was around $21.8 million for the general fund, and it now stands at just over $97 million. Outside of the city's control, the region has experienced just overall cost increases across services, constructions, you name it, with an aggregate increase of just under 50% or 47.83% in CPI increases. And in the last 5 years, as everybody has known, with inflation at historical levels, we've averaged about 5.23% CPI increases. This matters because it impacts the cost of buying stuff. In the last year, we took a look at how many purchase orders were issued, and there was a total of 982, of which 590 were related to contracts. 55% of those represented purchases that were $10,000 or less, or about $2.1 million of the total $133 million that were encumbered. Of note here, and why we bring this point is, there's a lot of administrative effort going into smaller transactions that represent less than 2% of the total budget and expenditures of the agency. So what existing internal controls and oversight are in place? Because it is equally as important that if the agency moves on increasing thresholds, we have the right oversight and controls in place. So we'd like to take a moment to identify what's in place and what is being proposed. So you hear a lot about, in the world of procurement, about decentralized and centralized purchasing. We are more of a hybrid, or what you would call center-led, meaning we get the best of all worlds. We empower our departments to be able to work on the smaller transactions, collect quotes, and so forth, but with the oversight of the finance department. We have a purchasing unit consisting of 4 professional units led by our finance manager, Amir Saki. So while departments are able to go find quotes, work with vendors on moving that, finance is always in there and making sure that the procurement standards are adhered for on the initial purchase, as well as on the payment of invoices. We have our AP unit that also is in a centralized way, moves and approves all our invoices through workflows. With our ERP endeavor that we've recently embarked on, the city has really leveraged that opportunity to streamline and organize approvals in an easier way that is more documented and more transparent in that element. So when it comes to purchases, whether it's in the beginning or at the end, there are always going to be at least 2 levels of finance approval, and they're at the senior accountant level or higher. With this update, we are also moving forward with establishing of a more robust and comprehensive procurement manual. And that is to help identify proper administrative approval thresholds, to provide guidance on competitive procurement requirements, and consolidate and update procurement procedures and best practices. At the end of the day, though, why are we here and what's the purpose of this? Really, the objective of updating our purchasing ordinance is to continue to align with the city's strategic plan of thriving economy, and procurement and updating our procedures, our thresholds helped us better increase efficiencies and cost effectiveness. It also provides clarity on what processes need to be followed. And by streamlining some of the smaller transactions and thresholds, we believe we are able to focus on the higher level of procurement where we can really maximize and leverage strategic procurement, if you will, where our procurement professionals can spend time working with departments on larger RFPs and scopes of work and so forth, and move the smaller transactions in a more straightforward and direct way. So with that, I will end the balance of this presentation to Amir Zaki.
Good evening, Mr. Zaki.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Amir Zaki. I'm the finance manager overseeing contracts and purchasing, accounts payable, and travel for the city of Menifee. My part of the presentation will go over the approach that the staff took to update this purchasing ordinance, and also will highlight some of the key updates and key changes that we are proposing. So for the approach, there is a thorough review that has been done with the city's attorney's office to ensure compliance with federal and state regulations and laws. We gathered also input from all the stakeholders, including the executive team, department heads, and to address all the potential areas of concern. We did a comprehensive analysis and study of the and benchmarking with other municipalities and neighboring agencies, public agencies, considering their size of population, adopted operating budgets, and similar purchasing activities, just to know where they are at. And it was found that several of the other municipalities in the region are either already updated their thresholds or updated their purchasing ordinance, or in the process of doing so in the very near future with a very similar thresholds that we are proposing. Sorry, first time to use a clicker, so okay, here we go. So let's go over the key points and summary for the proposed updates to this ordinance. Basically, we are unifying the existing ordinance. We have the ordinance over 2 chapters, 3.12 and 3.30. We are unifying this and into one revised chapter of 3.12. We are addressing some of the city council priorities for supporting local and veterans-owned businesses. where we are proposing to give a 5% price privilege to the local veterans-owned businesses and up to 2.5% of price privilege to local vendors. These privileges will be subject to other federal and state regulations, and it depends on the purchasing category. We're also proposing higher purchasing authority thresholds and moving all the dollar amount thresholds into a separate resolution to allow for more flexibility for future updates as needed. We thought that's going to be easier to update the thresholds as the market changes without the need to update the actual ordinance. About the main highlight of the new proposed thresholds, we are raising the requirements for the competitive quotes from 5,000 to 10,000 to match the current federal levels for micro purchases. We're also updating the public works bidding threshold to match the public contract code, as this tends to change from time to time. So we're referring all these thresholds to the public contracting code. And we are standardizing the administrative authority within the city to 100,000 for all purchasing categories, which includes supplies, equipment, general services, professional services, and public works. I hope the table is looking nice and readable, but I'll go over some quick updates on this table. So here's the summary table for the proposed thresholds of approvals as well as the competitive bidding requirements. So basically, the ordinance sets a difference between two different aspects for purchasing. First, what needs to be done to procure goods and services, and second, who can approve these purchases. As you can see, for all the purchase categories, the administrative approval proposed is up to 100,000. So any award above 100,000 will still require to be approved by City Council. Regardless of the approval level, you can see that there is an established process and guardrails in place for purchases at all categories. Regarding the bidding requirements for supplies, equipment, and general services, they will not be triggered for purchase below 10,000. From 10,000 to 75,000, the requirement is to obtain at least 3 quotes, and above 75,000 will require a competitive bidding. For professional services, informal proposals will be triggered above 25,000, and formal solicitation process will be required, such as an RFP or RFQ for any contract above 50,000. For the public works, the bidding requirement will follow the public contracting code thresholds, and currently those requirements are contracts above 75,000 and below 220,000 will go through the informal sealed bid process, while contracts above 220,000 will require a formal sealed bid. And the difference between the two basically is the advertising component. For change orders and contract amendments, the administrative approval can authorize up to 10% increase or up to the threshold limits mentioned above. The term extension will be proposed for 120 days. Any amounts or extensions beyond those will require City Council approval. And to address the question that was raised by Mayor Estrada during the Finance Committee meeting held on March 26, 2025, about the nature of purchases that fall between the limits of 75,000 to 100,000, staff completed an analysis where we found 26 purchase orders that fell in that area in the past 2 years. These 26 purchase orders totaled 2.2 million and represents only an average of 2% of the encumbered budget. The majority of those POs were for goods and services that are time sensitive and fall into one of the following categories. Professional and support services for construction projects, such as labor compliance, geotechnical studies, and construction management. And these are time-sensitive services that are needed in order for construction projects to begin or continue on schedule. Equipment and vehicle purchase, where timing is essential to secure the best deal, as the ordering process might take several months for fulfillment. On-call agreements for maintenance of streets and public facilities, where timing is an essential factor to complete the required maintenance on time, or some on-call IT supports items that are needed urgently to address needs in staffing or equipment within the IT department. Continuing of the summary of the proposed updates, so we added more clarifications on the categories exempt from bidding requirements, such as legal, advertising in a newspaper, utilities, regulatory fees imposed by other public agencies, land and property acquisitions. And just to mention, land and property acquisitions will still follow the current regular process where these will be negotiated in a closed session by City Council and will be approved by City Council. We're just, removing the bidding requirements for it. We are introducing also other procurement methods permitted by California law to facilitate and accommodate future bigger projects, such as design build and public-private partnerships. We also are clarifying the approvals for MOU, MOA, and property leases, where those agreements also are still subject to City Council approval. We added more clarifications for the disposal of surplus property and the procedures of how we're going to do these disposals. We are adding a new sections for definitions of various purchasing-related terminologies and a new section for the ethical standards. And we made some general language updates to maintain consistency and clarity throughout the ordinance. Our recommended action for today's presentation is to introduce an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 3.12 and repealing Chapter 3.30 of the Menifee Municipal Code to consolidate and revise the city's procurement procedures, and 2, adopt a resolution establishing the rules and procedure for the procurement of goods, services, and construction contracts, and establishing purchasing authority and contract execution authority. This concludes my presentation tonight. Thank you for your time and consideration. Staff will be available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Saki. We appreciate you and staff's hard work on this. Council, this is our time for questions, only questions. Let's hold off discussion. Okay, I see Council Member Dynas.
Thank you. On the slide, you said establishment of a procurement manual. So you're asking us to approve that tonight? Is that was part of the recommendation, or is there one in place already?
There will be one that would be developed, and it would be administratively built in. Part of the, approval today is just the ordinance as it itself. The policy itself would be approved by our city manager in that way and laid out. So we don't have one included as the attachments today. Today is just the ordinance.
So though we don't have a written procurement manual, there are practices in place for the procurement process. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Another question here. Could you define micro purchases, please?
Yeah, under the federal procurement standards, they've defined micro purchases as any good or service that's $10,000 or less. And oftentimes, this helps us align to when we have federally funded projects, then a department doesn't have to kind of decipher which of the applicable procurement standards apply.
For the local preference and vet pet preference, I appreciate that, but why the difference in percentage? Is there a reasoning behind that? You got 2.5% and 5%.
Yeah, so basically we are proposing to give the bigger percentage to the veteran local-owned businesses and a less privilege for just the local businesses, just to honor our veterans.
Right, and for the benefit of everyone listening, would you explain how that preference works, please?
Sure. So the preference will work whenever it's applicable, meaning for public works projects, it's not going to be applicable because we are abide to go with the lowest bid. But for regular supplies that we are trying to buy, when we collect quotes, we'll try to give a price privilege 5%, meaning we'll compare the proposal submitted by a veteran-owned business, and if it does not exceed 5% more than the lowest offer, we can grant it to the veterans-owned business.
Thank you. Then on your summary of proposed updates table here, you're asking for a threshold of $10,000 for a department head. So even though that would still, if a purchase order went through, that would still be required to go through the process and be reviewed and go through the check and balance process, not just them able to purchase on their own. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. Any purchase has to go through the regular approval process. It depends who needs to approve and who will handle it. This is what will determine the things, but everything has to go through the regular process.
So the difference then would, I mean, the reason for that would then it'd be that it just doesn't have to go to the city manager first,
That is correct.
Okay. And the same thing with the professional services and, of course, the public works, that's kind of, our hands are tied in some respect because it's by state law that we can only do it certain ways, correct?
That is correct. We have to abide by the public contract code.
And change orders, unfortunately, you gave a great table in the staff report comparing the existing and new one. I kind of wish you'd have done that. So is there much of a difference on the change orders? Because for some of the contract amendments, I think there's some legal requirements. What we can do is that, am I correct?
Yeah, the current change order thresholds as they stand right now, it's $25,000 for all change orders except construction projects, which are at $50,000, and then the period of extension is only 60 days. So what's being proposed is, again, to consolidate to make it easier, just the same amount at the maximum amount of 100,000 and 120 days.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have for now.
Mayor Pro Tem Carwin.
Thank you. What is the difference between a procurement manual and the language of this proposed ordinance? What does the manual provide that the ordinance doesn't?
Okay, so the manual is much more extensive, and it will lay out things like specifically at what level, what each person has to do, what quotes, when an RFP needs to be done. It's a much more, I guess, procedural, how to the ordinance is, to the best extent as we can, detailed enough, but broad to its laying out, like here's the maximum thresholds. In the manual, we're gonna get down, I guess, into the nuts and bolts of thresholds, but not only that, steps that need to be done in that way. There's some kind of related other procurement tools like credit cards that we use that would be kind of joint in that way, that are not specifically out here in the ordinance, but would be aligned in a manual.
I see. And what I was looking for in the ordinance was some reference to the requirement to have a manual. Is that something that needs to be in the ordinance to make sure that we have one?
The short answer to that, Mayor Pro Tem, is no. If you want to include, you and I looked in different places. I looked in the resolution, and I didn't really see it in the resolution either. But if you want to mandate it, you can just include it as an additional part of the motion approving this item tonight.
I would like to, and when we discuss it, we can open it up here. But the manual seems like an important part of the ordinance, and I would like the city to be required to have it, and that way it doesn't just one day disappear, or maybe and include maybe a requirement to review it every, I don't know how many years would be wise, to make sure that it is updated by mandate of the city, so we don't fall into a situation where we're missing legal updates in the manual just because somebody didn't get around to it. The other thing was, and I'm looking in the ordinance here, and I don't know if this is cross-referenced in the resolution, but the actual numbers that we're talking about, this $100,000, et cetera, is that somewhere in the ordinance?
No, so that's actually part of the streamlining. We wanted to have it under resolution, so in future updates, it's still gonna come to council, but we don't have to change the ordinance and go through this to the whole ordinance update in itself.
Okay, so it's just, the ordinance just references the resolution,
correct.
And it's easier to update the resolution than the whole ordinance.
Exactly.
Okay, that's why I was wondering why that wasn't in there. Okay, that makes sense.
And if I can may add something, we found that this is a best practice also done by other municipalities where they don't need to change the ordinance every time they are updating the thresholds. So they point to our ordinance, and ordinance would be a separate item.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that a lot. With regard, there's one chart in the staff report, and I don't know if this is what Councilman Dinas was referring to. I don't think so, but there's one chart in the staff report that's not in the presentation tonight, which is the comparison to other local jurisdictions. And I noticed that the request is for like a public works authority of $100,000 up from 60, and that's over every other local jurisdiction except for Riverside, whose budget is $465 million. Have those other cities updated that number recently, or is that an old number? Is that their current number? Why is ours so much more than everybody else's?
So the cities that are referenced here have updated on the higher end where you're seeing the 75s probably in the last 2 to 3 years, but not as frequently as a year. The public contracting code updated the threshold to be now. Our 60 came from, it was 60 and then over 60 requires bidding, but it was just updated this January of 2025 to be 75. So these agencies that had the 75 were doing their updates a little bit before that in that way. I can't speak to say that they're necessarily updating it in the following year, but purchasing threshold is a very common topic that is frequently visited by agencies for the same exact reason, that they're all kind of having the same challenges, especially when you're talking about public works. That's the construction area, and that's where you've seen some of the larger increases go. Now, that said, our CIP projects are exceedingly always going to be over 100,000. They're multi-million-dollar projects, so you're not frequently going to see a lot of these smaller or public works projects that fall underneath the 100,000 as it is anyway.
Yeah, it seems like this could be 200,000 and it still wouldn't make
Right.
any difference for how these things get
Okay,
done.
right.
All right, those are all the technical questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. So I had a question about the thresholds. You mentioned, I had asked the question, how many purchases above 75,000 change orders were made, and did I hear that correctly? About 26 in the past 2 years?
That is correct.
Okay. I should have asked one more question. How many purchase order changes were above 100,000? Do we have that idea off the top? And
I'd have to go get my computer.
Okay.
But I,
Well, I mean, roughly speaking, I think we saw there were about half were under the $10,000 figure.
about half. Okay.
And so the other half, which was roughly 500, fall between 10,000 and above. So we have, say, 13 in that middle range. So there's going to be some that are from 10,000 up to 75,000, and then some that are much more. So we don't
Okay.
have those exact figures, but it's somewhere in those ranges.
So just to clarify, from 75,000 to 100, just roughly there were 13 change orders, and then 100,000 and above, roughly 13?
I wouldn't say above 100,000, just the 75,000 to 100,000.
Okay, 75,000 to 100,000, roughly 13, and then below.
Each of the last 2 years.
Okay, and then below the 75,000.
We would need to analyze that.
Okay, got it. Okay. So we're throwing out numbers here. So above 75, between 75 and 100, there were 26.
in the last 2 years.
Okay, got it. And about 100,000, we don't have the answer.
I can be right back.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's okay. Okay. That's all my questions for now. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak, or has any correspondence been received?
No, we do not.
Okay. Council, this is a time for discussion. Councilman Dinas.
I'll save Bob here from having to go first all the time.
Well, that's what I was about to say, Mayor Pro Tem, because it's second nature.
He's go first, yeah. Having lived in this world for many, many years, I understand and the need to increase this. As your staff report said, that the cost of living has increased tremendously. Trying to run a city on 2008 thresholds does slow things down tremendously. Doing the resolution as opposed to a ordinance, having those thresholds in there, says I'm guilty of doing that over the years. I stood on your side over there. It is more efficient, and you can react quicker to a changing economic environment. Most of these, I think these are appropriate levels. I know we're higher on the public works, but I don't think there's any city around us that is busier than we are in building things. And time is money when you're constructing, and if you have to stop everything just for a 20, because your threshold goes to 75 instead of 100,000, you've probably spent more than the 25,000 to get the wait and get it all get all the necessary approvals. Additionally, as staff has said, the safeguards are still in place, it's still reviewed. The city's come from a long way. I know when I've got here, Armando and I had conversations a lot about our accounting and budgeting department, and Armando's worked hard to bring that up to snuff and have a very reliable and staff to make sure that our money's spent wisely. This is the residents' money, not ours. It needs to be, protected and made sure it's spent properly. We have those safeguards in place. I think with our new financial system, it's probably, that's not only increased the transparency, but the safety of how we spend our money on that. So I'm fully in support of that and the dollar amounts that have been requested. Certainly, the goal of this is to make sure that the county runs efficiently and meets the ongoing needs of our residents. And if we have to stop things all the time to come back to the council, would slow down the work. One question I did have, all these things here, the council does see this at some time. Is that correct? It's not like this is all done in the back room without something coming to the council for us to see on a regular basis.
Yeah,
is that correct?
Correct. You will always see warrant registers which produce every payment that's done by the city at any amount. You would still continue to see contracts over the thresholds that we are, and we're also working on one of the last legs of our ERP for not only council but the public, the transparency portal, which will show details on payments that are in that way. So there is still that element of reporting and accountability that we take, very serious to make sure that in this request we don't lose any of that.
Yeah, and I'll give you one last thing, something that happened to the city here, an example. Before most of my colleagues were on the councils, we're out here purchasing vehicles. I've heard the city manager remember that. They got authority for a certain amount. The bids went out and it came back a little higher. So instead of being able to have the authority to buy them for a little increase, we had to come back to city council for a minor increase. And by the time we came back to council approved it, the vehicles were either gone or twice as much as what the difference was. And so we ended up paying more in the long run because we didn't have this ability for the city manager in place. So part of this will take care of that. Would that be correct? Where the little discrepancies, if things come a little higher, that based on the discretion of the city manager or his designee.
That is correct. As it stands, the current threshold was around $50,000, and as we know, the cost of vehicles has just gone significantly high. It's difficult to find a car underneath that price and not have to come to council first.
That's just one example that we've run into that I can remember that we had issues with. So I do support this, and I'll be voting affirmative. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Kerwin.
Thank you. I've been on this council for going on 5 years and been around since 2015. I don't recall a single time where the city manager asked for the increased funding and it was denied. So this isn't a problem that we're having, that we keep getting erroneous requests that keep getting denied, so we need to keep a lid on it. This is something that every single time they've come to us, it's been valid and we've said yes. And I understand that there's the opportunity now for abuse when you increase it. That's obviously something that's there, but history has shown that our financial team, which consistently wins awards for fiscal responsibility and those kinds of things, we've shown responsibility, and every request that would fall into this category that's ever been made has been approved. So I think that within this threshold, this just makes sense to me, and this will help us into the future. This is up to now catching us up and then projecting us 5 or 6 years into the future, so we don't need to change this every year by $10,000 as cost of living increases. I mean, we could be really petty with this and say it goes up by cost of living increase by 3% every year and build that in, but that's ridiculous. So I think that this is a fine plan. It does make me nervous that the professional services authority jumps from 25 to 100, but I understand that the cost of professional services has probably jumped in a higher proportion than that since the original timing of it. So we're sort of catching up to things that we haven't been looking at, which is why I wanted the manual reviewed like every 3 years or something like that, so that way we don't run into this situation in the future where we haven't reviewed these numbers for 10 years. So, but based on this, yeah, I'd approve this.
Yeah, and with respect to professional services, really quick, in fact, one of the clarifications we're doing in the ordinance is laying out that, competitive solicitation is required. It was actually vague in the existing ordinance. It just said it would have to come to council, but it wouldn't explicitly say that you have to go do an RFP or do some kind of competitive element. And now we've introduced that and provide that clarification to ensure that the city's getting the best value for those services.
Okay, I'll go ahead and go next. $100,000 is a lot of money, and it's a big jump from what we were before. And as a council, I think we should be involved in a lot of these decisions. And it is giving up some of our authority to staff and the city manager. But to their testament, they've been doing a good job, and we've been getting many awards. And, I was initially going to come in, guys, and say, can we compromise somewhere in the middle and say 75,000? But, hearing some of you guys speak, and man, $25,000 doesn't go much farther nowadays. So I think that pushes me over the edge. And I want to streamline things. I want things to be more efficient. Nobody wants to hold anything up. And, I read the warrant register all the time, and I made my point in the finance committee meeting and with our city staff. And, sometimes I look at the warrant register, I'm all like, $10 on that? Are you, no, we're a very diligent council, and we do our homework, and we are keeping an eye on everything. Ultimately, though, the difference between the $75,000 and the $100,000 in the year 2025 isn't much different. So I want to streamline things along with the rest of the council as well. So I'm in support of it. I was pushed over the edge tonight. I see no other discussion in the queue. Madam Clerk, did I already ask if there's any requests to speak? Okay, I already took care of that. Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, if there is no further discussion, Madam Clerk, can you please introduce the ordinance?
This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Menifee, California, repealing and replacing Chapter 3.12 and repealing Chapter 3.30 of the Menifee Municipal Code to consolidate and revise the procurement procedures.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now can I ask for a motion and a second to introduce the ordinance?
So moved.
Can I ask if the motion includes my proposed amendment for the procurement manual?
City Attorney Melching?
My motion would include that. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
Just a suggestion to the council is, as long as you're going to include that, you might as well include the resolution as well, and you can
And
do
the
it all in one fell
resolution
swoop.
and everything else our city attorney decides to throw in there.
Okay, City Attorney Melching, did you have enough clarification on that direction?
Yeah,
Okay.
To say it back, just to make sure that the record is clear on that, the direction is from the city council to the city manager to promptly prepare the procurement manual that is contemplated in the staff report and related materials.
And that the existence and update of that, periodic update of that manual is a requirement of the city.
I think you said every 3 years. Do you want?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yep, understood.
Thank you.
Okay, the city attorney says he understands and everyone's on the same page. Excellent.
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilmember Temple. Okay, that passes. Next, can I ask for a motion and a second to adopt the resolution as presented? Oh, we did it all
Unnecessary,
together.
yep.
Okay, right. Okay, so I'll skip over that portion. Excellent. Great job, finance team. All right, thank you for...
Thank you, council. I know my colleagues will very much appreciate this. They struggle with making purchases on a daily basis. This is going to really streamline their operations. And I just wanted to say thank you to Margarita and Amir. They've been working on this for several months and a lot of blood and sweat and tears into this project. And so thank you. Thank you for the council. Thank you.
Thank you to all of you. Thank you. Next, we are on City Attorney reports. City Attorney Melching, do you have anything to report?
Not tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, City Manager reports. City Manager Villa, do you have anything to report?
Nothing to report. Just want to thank the council for the confidence. This will inevitably streamline the process and save a lot of hours and the preparation of reports. So thank you.
Thank you, City Manager Villa. Next, we are on future agenda requests from council. Does the council have any future agenda requests?
I have a question about future agenda requests.
Okay.
Can I propose the removal of a future agenda item as a future agenda request?
Yes.
So I'd like to make a request to remove from the future agenda item the road name change of Hahn Road that's sitting on here that's proposed.
I'll second. Oh, you said, all right. You can have it, Dean. You can have it. All right. Looks like we have a second from Council Member Dynas. Okay. Earlier today, we talked about ways we can help our city programming, city events, and our city initiatives. And so I would be interested in exploring the City of Menifee Charitable Organization.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Carwin. Any other requests? Okay, thank you, council, and thank you, staff. We appreciate all your hard work. This meeting is adjourned at 7:34. Good night, Menifee.